Okay people, Naruto's next form is gonna shock everyone in the Borutoverse like we've never seen before. A perfect Sage Master transformation. Yep, we eating, boys. No, not that type of eating, fam. Chill.
Why does everybody always want to leave me?
Now, it's no secret ever since the end of the battle against Isshiki Otsutsuki and the loss of Naruto's Baryon mode after Kurama's departure. Dog, why it had to be him? Why? That our boy's been completely nerfed. I mean, homie's been down bad. I mean, even worse than when he experienced his first kiss. Okay, maybe not that bad. Regardless, Naruto lost a huge amount of his strength and the ability to heal at an exponential rate. Not to mention his chakra reserve is no longer unlimited, which means he's currently at a major disadvantage. And considering there's still many threats around the world of Naruto, there's probably going to be a need for him to somewhat, at the very least, advance in strength and overall be a formidable opponent for whatever is thrown their way. And so far from what we've gathered, we pretty much have the main threat of the Boruto Naruto series, and that's of course Code. And up to the release of Boruto chapter 73, as we've been told, Code is a lot stronger now. With his limiters being released by Amado, Code's power has been pretty much said to be somewhere between the ballpark of Jigen and Isshiki. He's not quite at Ishiki's level, but he's definitely stronger than Jigen. And we could deny it all we want, but we know for facts that Naruto and Sasuke together got absolutely demolished by both forms, and now they're even weaker than they were back then, which means unless they're betting on Kawaki, a ninja that they pretty much don't trust, and we use ninja loosely because at the end of the day Kawaki's, well, like he just got started in the Ninja Academy or something like that. And then of course there's Boruto, which is Naruto's son, that I'd imagine he wants to keep as much as possible away from major threats like Code, and he's a kid with a strange power that's partially threatening to overtake him that they kind of need to find a way to stop. So while they'll definitely be on the battlefield against Code, they probably want to keep Boruto and Kawaki's involvement in things as minimal as possible to make sure things don't go in a disarray. And while we're on the topic of Code, we can't forget to mention that there's also a horde of 10-tailed Jubi at his disposal. He's pretty much released the Jubi that was in captivity that Isshiki had set up previously and now has them as an army. So you got Code that has been released from his limiters at the strength between Jigen and Isshiki, and at the same time you have this horde army that, while hasn't been specifically noted where the strength lies, is definitely a threat because it's the 10-tails. And with Naruto being as weak as ever, he's going to need a way to be able to put up a fight against not only Code, but this massive army that is headed towards Konoha. And as it stands right now, pretty much Naruto's last line of defense is his Sage Mode. He showcased it before when Code recently went to the Leaf. Sage Mode will ideally be his way of combating against whatever threats come to Konoha. And of course, we already know the way to learn more about Sage Mode is going back to where Naruto learned it, back in Naruto Shippuden, with the toads in the mountain that had also taught Jiraiya the Sage Mode as well. And not to mention the fact that there's still a lot of things that have been set up that definitely will be pivotal to Naruto learning more about Sage Mode. Because being realistic, Naruto hasn't learned a crazy amount about Sage Mode. He learned enough to be able to run into the battle against Pain back in Naruto Shippuden, so he wasn't able to necessarily master it per se. Even Jiraiya didn't master it. Naruto managed enough to have it where it didn't have him imperfected like Jiraiya, but Naruto could go a ways away with the technique. Just imagine, he only trained for a short amount of time when he was learning the Sage Mode. Imagine he went back to the toads that taught him it in the first place and learned even more so how to not only master it, but potentially even amplify it. And then that also begs the question, well, okay, what happened with Kashin Koji? We found out in Boruto that Kashin Koji was a clone created by Amado of Jiraiya, of the legendary Sannin. And if Kashin Koji is indeed a Jiraiya clone, we also know that he's going to have the same capabilities of Sage Mode. As it stands right now in the Boruto series, we don't know necessarily where Kashin Koji's whereabouts are, but we do know that he is an ally. He was even betrayed by Amado and left for dead on that essential mission to take out Isshiki Otsutsuki, and he's probably going to go to familiar territory to recuperate. I'd imagine he'd be with the toads right now, kind of recuperating. Whether he's going to have a replacement for his body parts, we don't know, but essentially Kashin Koji is more than likely going to be a pivotal asset in helping whoever is going to be training with him to kind of get a lot stronger and get a big buff. And that right there is a big part of Naruto's story and Boruto altogether. Ideally, they will have a reunion between Naruto and his slain master. It won't be Jiraiya, obviously, because this is a clone of Jiraiya. We don't know necessarily how far his memories go, but we know that he is, to a certain degree, Jiraiya. And Naruto and Jiraiya's reunion is inevitable. So taking it a step further, if Naruto needs more power, training with this Kashin Koji and the toads to learn an advanced form of Sage Mode would be the most ideal power-up that the character could have. Again, we can't can't rely on Kurama anymore because Kurama was destroyed at the end of the battle against Isshiki Otsutsuki. So then it makes you beg to question, okay, if Naruto needs a new form, he doesn't have Baryon mode anymore, he doesn't have an unlimited pool of chakra via Kurama, what is the next steps for this Sage mode that Naruto will be utilizing in this battle against Code and the Jubi army? And before we even dive into that, you gotta ask yourself, well, wait a minute, what does Sage mode do again? Sage mode is basically a special state in the world of Naruto that allows a user to absorb chakra from nature, known as Senjutsu chakra, and make it their own strength. By entering this heightened state, all of the physical attributes of the user are boosted by quite a margin, putting them in a league of their own. So essentially, Naruto uses nature to give himself a boost in power. He's also able to sense things. Sense things, not sensitive, okay? There's a difference. And essentially, it's basically one big buff from nature. So what if you was to take that to a different level and essentially use nature to give Naruto a buff, not only in the sense of giving him more stronger chakra and sensibility, but what if it was able to amplify his body and give him powers that essentially he could use in taijutsu against Code? Because while Code is not Isshiki, one of the big weaknesses of somebody of the Otsutsuki caliber, and considering Code still has the white karma mark that kind of has him linked in a way to Isshiki, is taijutsu. Taijutsu is one of the most efficient ways that we've seen to fight off an Otsutsuki, and because Code is closely based, and not to mention the Jubi army essentially would be a massive extension of the Otsutsuki, Naruto using taijutsu will probably be the best bet at taking down Code and this army. So having Naruto's Sage mode exclusively focusing in on Naruto's hand-to-hand combat and essentially buffing his physical body, giving him maybe even a more buff tone and stronger arms, could very well be the key to taking down Code and essentially saving the Naruto verse. Because despite Naruto and Jiraiya being the key characters we've seen use Sage mode throughout the series, there's been different types of Sage mode that has been showcased as well. For starters, there's the toads from Mount Miyaboku. We got Fukasaku, a toad from the mountain. Unlike those who trained before him, Fukasaku has a great understanding of natural energy and can make use of it very well. When using his powers, he could even take on the likes of Naruto in taijutsu combat, which is nothing short of impressive. Fukasaku can even use several nature transformations empowered by Sage chakra, and during his clash with Pain, he fared quite well, again for a toad. There's also the White Snake Sage. The White Snake Sage belonged to the Ryuchi Cave, which is one of the 3 great sage areas in the Naruto world. As the oldest and most respected snake there, it goes without saying that he has the power of Senjutsu as well. The White Snake Sage also injects his Senjutsu chakra into others. That could be a possibility of buffing Naruto. Those who survive end up getting access to the power of Sage mode. However, the number of survivors is rather low. Although the White Snake Sage hasn't been seen in action, he's likely very strong. And let's not forget, Jugo has Sage mode as well. Jugo was once a test subject of Orochimaru, and he belonged to a special clan who have an incredible Kekkai Genkai. Their power allows all the members to passively absorb natural energy, granting them an enhanced state similar to Sage mode. I mean, Boruto introduced one of the biggest Sage modes that we've seen since Naruto with Mitsuki. Mitsuki, of course, the synthetic human created by Orochimaru, who's also his parent. He was born to be the perfect human with powers that can potentially go beyond those of Orochimaru himself. At a very young age, he managed to tap into the power of Senjutsu with his Sage transformation. Kabuto was able to access the Sage mode. Even Naruto's father Minato learned Sage mode at some point. And of course, the catalyst of the Sage mode, Hagoromo Otsutsuki, was the one that pretty much created Sage mode to begin with. So if all these different people were able to tap into this power, and there's different varieties, then there's definitely a possibility for something brand new that can be utilized for Naruto in this battle against Code. And think about it, because Naruto had all of those capabilities at one time or another, thanks to Kurama and his endless chakra, there's a huge possibility that Naruto can essentially utilize Sage mode to be able to replicate some of the things that his body was capable of doing thanks to Kurama. It's not too far-fetched to say that the Sage mode can essentially even act as a healer if he uses enough chakra from nature to be able to heal wounds, buff his strength. He might even be able to tap into a Sage mode similar to that of Hashirama Senju, where pretty much he'll be able to control nature to a certain degree. Now granted, all of this has to undergo some sort of training method. There has to be some downtime for him to train, and again, with Kashin Koji still waiting in the wings, Mount Miyaboku still being a thing, there's a huge possibility that Naruto is going to go train into a new Sage mode, and that'll be what he essentially is utilizing in the final battle against Code and the Jubi. And what even adds more to the validity of this theory is the fact that we know from the very beginning of Boruto that there was a foreboding message of something happening to Naruto, right? And there's a strong possibility that whatever happened to Naruto that immobilized immobilized him, maybe Kawaki was able to send him somewhere else because he was immobile, might be due to this new Sage Mode. Because while Sage Mode is an incredibly strong technique, there are some disadvantages to it. For starters, in order to gather enough natural energy to initiate the transformation into Sage Mode, the user must remain perfectly still, leaving them vulnerable. Users have at times been shown entering Sage Mode without this preparation, but considering Naruto can no longer use unlimited clones thanks to Kurama, Naruto probably is going to have to go about this a different way. But also, because the user needs to move during combat, the Senjutsu chakra cannot be replenished, which means the users can't stay within this state for extended periods of time. Also, if too much natural energy is taken in, their body will be turned to stone forever. So there's a huge possibility that during this battle against Code and the Jubi army, Naruto turns to stone because he has to use this technique, and maybe it absorbs too much natural energy and can't be utilized for long periods of time. If this is a war and there's a massive horde army that is approaching, Naruto is probably going to have to stay in this form a lot longer than what his body can sustain, which would render the Hokage immobile and possibly even at risk of any threat moving forward. Because remember, one of the prophecies of Boruto in the very beginning is Boruto will lose everything. His father turning to stone and possibly even Kawaki sending him somewhere else to be safe because he's a stone statue could be one of the things that Boruto loses in the process of this journey of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And honestly, it's not far-fetched to say that Naruto will have a variation of the Sage Mode, considering the fact that we've already seen Naruto have multiple variations of the form to begin with. For starters, there was Tailed Beast Sage Mode. After earning the Nine Tails' cooperation, Naruto becomes able to combine Sage Mode with his Tailed Beast Mode. The red irises turn orange, and the splitted pupil characteristics of normal Nine Tails transformations merge with the Sage Mode's eye pattern, creating a design reminiscent of a cross. The design of Naruto's shroud also changes. While using the combined form, Naruto gains simultaneous access to both forms' advantages, such as augmenting Tailed Beast Balls with Senjutsu Chakra. The combination of both forms allows for a greater power than either Tailed Beast or Sage Mode individually, which allowed Naruto to hold his own against the likes of Obito and even the Ten-Tail, which again, we also have to face at some given point. And not to mention, he had the Sixth Path Sage Mode as well, a divine transformation gifted by Hagoromo Otsutsuki to those who have an iron faith and the guts to never give up. It significantly enhanced the user's powers and allows them to use a number of new techniques. So when Naruto does ultimately get a new variation of the Sage Mode, it will more than likely once again morph depending on what's going on with Naruto right now. And considering the fact that a Taijutsu boost would be beneficial to him, it's no stretch to say that Naruto will probably have a more buff physique and ultimately be more stronger looking. Or if it's really diving deep into nature, for example, the fact that Naruto's chakra is wind-based, it's a possibility that he could actually even have more of a natural form, whether it be the fact that his body starts to morph to look more like something out of nature, or just in general the color scheme of him, maybe opposed to where he would have yellow and red, it would ultimately morph into something like a greenish tint. And that's all assuming that Naruto goes down the route of again going with his wind chakra nature. If he decides to go a different route, or if the way he obtains this new form is of a different kind, it could actually even look completely different. The fact that Kashin Koji is mechanical, he's a cybernetic cyborg being created by Amado, if he's the one that actually helps Naruto to obtain a new form, and it's not nothing to do with going to Mount Miyoboku, Naruto could even have some sort of artificial one, because one of the big things about the Naruto verse as of the Boruto story, it's basically combining and fusing the ideas of what is life after technology becomes an integral part. So there's a huge possibility that Naruto's new form could actually be somewhat artificially created. It could be in unison with Amado. Maybe Naruto's next form is not going to be as organic as some of the previous ones, and it's going to actually go down the route of using the ninja tech that was introduced in Boruto to enhance his capabilities. And also considering the science is so advanced, and there's people like again Amado that has done crazy things like the karma mark with Kawaki and Boruto, but in particular Kawaki, it could be integrally fused. If Naruto agrees that the only way to achieve a power that's needed in order to be able to fight off people like Code, he might go along with, okay, if this is the only way, I'm going to get some mechanical enhancements, and it could lead to this artificial Sage Mode as well. And Naruto being able to tap into the Sixth Path Sage Mode is not out of the question either. It absorbs the chakra from everything around the person using it. If Naruto was to use this around somebody like Code, or around somebody like Kawaki or Boruto, or dare I say it, Kawaki at some given point helping Naruto to be able to replenish his chakra, it could actually force open once again that Sixth Path Sage Mode that he once had, because the karma is connected to the Otsutsuki, and the Otsutsuki could be the link to the Sixth Path Sage Mode that Naruto needs in order to tap into a new form. Because it doesn't have to go down the standard route of training and being able to go to Mount Miyoboku again. It could could simply be the case of something where Naruto uses Sage Mode normally, and by absorbing the chakra from the people surrounding him that actually have the karma mark, it could lead to Naruto once again bringing in that form that he used against Madara Uchiha and Kaguya Otsutsuki that was gifted to him by Hagoromo in the final fights of the Naruto story. But let me know what you think. Do you think that Naruto is going to unlock this new Sage Master transformation for Sage Mode? Also, do you think that this could be the reason why Naruto is quote-unquote sent somewhere, because he turns to stone forever in the process of fighting, because that's a backfire and disadvantage of using Sage Mode? That's all I have for this one. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.